Great. It's great to have us all here. Today, I'll be discussing a very interesting topic, tips on how to pass a regulatory audit. And I would like that you subscribe to my channel, like, share, and make comments, send feedbacks to me on how you think I could better improve this. And we could just jump right into it, I think. Yeah. So great. For those who do not know me, my name is Dominic Wambaracha. I'm a chemical engineer by profession. My master's is also in chemical engineering. I have an MBA in finance and investment. I'm an ISO lead auditor as well as an FSSC lead auditor, a certified Six Sigma associate, a member of the Regulatory Affairs Professional, RAPS, and I have 10 plus years experience in manufacturing, ranging from biopharma to biotech to home and personal care. It's been an interesting journey. So let's go. Now, some of the things we'll be learning today is how to ace a regulatory audit, what to focus on more, how to prepare, and what not to do. So I would just take us right into it. I think the very first thing that you need to know is the regulatory guideline. If you're being audited by, you have an inspection by FDA, by EMA, what guidelines are they using? By NAFDAC, what guidelines are they using? What guidelines? You need to go to their sites, get a copy of this guideline, go through it. You need to know what you're being audited. Review the regulatory standard, understand it clearly. As much as you have an agenda for that audit, this is one of the most important parts. Do a gap assessment of your quality of your QMS, assess the inspection guideline or the regulatory guideline that you have from the regulator. This is very important if they're using the PICS, if they're using the ICH, whatever guideline that they will be using for that audit. You need to have that guideline. You need to know the guideline. So wherever the lead auditee would be, or the team managing handling the audit, this is one of the best places to start from. And that takes me to the next tip I would give, which is set up an audit readiness team. So have an audit readiness team, a team that will prepare for the audit, a team that will answer, create a strategy for a successful audit that will act as a point of contact during the inspection, also before the inspection. So this is very key. You need that team that will say, okay, this is our approach to acing this audit. We would have to have maybe this series of meetings, these groups of person take up this task, who will be our pre-auditor, who will be our contact on the day of the audit, who will prepare for the auditors getting to site, who would handle the back room, who would handle the front office. All of those things is what you, just that strategy that you expect that your audit readiness team will be working on. Then, during the audit, what will the audit readiness team do? Have someone with the auditor throughout the inspection process to answer questions that are relevant to and requested documentations as needed, because as the auditors go through your site, they could be requests on the way, and you need that one person who would feedback your back office to say these are the requests from the auditors. Have a review team, ensuring that the requested documents are correct and are requested and provided timely. And this will mostly be done by your back office team. Provide daily updates. Most times, the audit takes 2 to 5 days, and you would really want daily audits with your internal stakeholders so that they know what's happening and how they could better prepare for the next day. Have a personnel who handles miscellaneous activities like lunch, clothing, if they have to go to gents, ladies, whatever, someone handles all of these will be part of the strategy that the audit readiness team will be working on. Then I would say the key and one of the most important, ensure that your QMS data is easily accessible and readily available. This is key. Whatever approach you want to use, digital or paper, ensure it is easily accessible and readily available. This is what I will tell you. So process deviations, CAPAs, corrections, changes, validation reports should be available and easily accessible. With whatever approach you want to use, you want to put them in cloud, ensure the passwords, ensure the auditor can easily access it. And if you want them in paper, ensure it's clean, it's neat, and it's available when the auditors ask. This is where I will tell you should try to keep to the 5 minutes time frame when a request is made, unless the auditor is on the tour and has requested that when I come back to the front office, then I want to see these documents. Then you have a long time to prepare this, and you should have them ready. You don't want to keep the auditors waiting, then you're stepping on their toes, for lack of a better word, and you should just piss them off. Great. So number 4 would be review your operating standards. Now you understand what the guidelines are, what the standard is. For example, what does the standard say about validation? What should the process for validation be? Should it be 3 stages? Should it be 1 stage? Should it be what approach? You should, if your SOPs are saying something different from the guideline, for example, saying that you should have a process design stage first, you should have CPV last, the PPQ second, and all of that, and you are just, for example, just going straight into process validation only when you are running your martial practice, then you're deviating from the standards. So these are the things you want to read in your SOP. What do they say about water? What is the expectation about the cleaning verification and all of that? What is their expectation? You need to read your SOPs and ensure it aligns with guidelines. That's why I mentioned earlier that you need to do a gap assessment, the guideline versus what your standards or your SOPs correctly say. Once you have done that, then you need to bridge the gap. So it is, like I mentioned here, it is best practice that you go through the website, the body who will be handling, and see their requirements on your SOPs in general. So this is very key. Review your SOPs. And once you have done that, then you can revise them if required. If you see that there are gaps, then revise to ensure that it matches with regulatory authorities that would be conducting this audit. My rule of thumb, but what I would always advise is that, for example, you have different regulators coming to audit you. The one with the most or the strictest standard should be your minimum requirement. Your minimum standard should be what you would follow. So the strictest one, the one that has most standards, or a strict standard, should be what you follow, because it will automatically cover every other regulator's standard. I think that always works. Then I would say conduct internal audit. This will be one of the strategies that your audit readiness team will propose or should have in their pipeline, that a robust internal audit happens. Random internal audits can happen, as well as gap assessment with the standards. And these audits will help you identify areas where there should be improvements, there should be leading to updating your guidelines, your processes, and your procedures. It's very important that you do this and don't just stop at conducting an internal audit. You should review the internal audit findings, set up a meeting to discuss these findings with various stakeholders, SMEs, create an action plan with timelines. That should be at least 1 month before you have the inspection, define the next steps, and include addressing these issues. Set up a follow-up meeting to ensure that departments are compliant. So you need this to happen, so you know, yes, we have done our own internal audit, and this is the way we currently look, and we believe that we'll be able to pass this audit many times. So it's very important that you do your internal audit, you review your findings, and you close the actions before the inspection happens. Great. Then digitalize your process. I'm putting this here because digitalization makes life easier. I know we talked earlier that you could use a paper-based or a digital process for your audits, yes, but I would emphasize that if you digitalize your process, it will increase your chances of passing your audit, because when you have most of the things in the cloud and the auditor request, then you just need to click buttons, put a start button, you get the document requested, and you could show the auditors. But always ensure when you use a digital system, don't forget CSV, that your system should be computer. You should have the computer system validation in place. You should have standards to say, okay, these are the levels of for your processes, that this is the level at which you can assess, your access levels for each of these computer systems. So it's very important that when you digitalize, you have such systems in place. You also have data integrity in place to manage digital systems. Great. Then I will say ensure you have data protection, or I think I talked about this already, that your systems you should be able to show that I have electronic audit trails. As much as I use digital systems, I can show what changes have been made on documents or on my processes or procedures. I have a validation SOP for my computer systems. I have a data integrity procedure or process in place. I have unauthorized access prevention mechanism in place. All of these things you need to show when you have a digital system, but I would always encourage that you have a digital system. This is one interesting one. Have an inspection ready room. It could take, like I mentioned, 2 to 5 days for the regulatory audit. So have a quiet area where the inspectors can be, and away from the offices or the manufacturing plant to reduce noise and all of that, so that they could concentrate, and this will help them have some peace and calmness. As much as you would have an inspection ready room, you have one other important room. I think this is one of the best rooms, and that's the back office, a robust back office, where you auditors request appropriately, distribute them to SMEs, where you prep members for the responses to the auditors, where you make the documents available and present them to the auditors. You need a very robust back office. This is very important when you are preparing for an audit. And you should have a back office manager who is in charge of the back office, who is in charge of the front office. So these are the things that the audit readiness team will put as a strategy to have in place, so that everything is top-notch, what I say. Great. So what are the things to avoid? Key reasons why organizations fail their audits is because the procedures either don't meet regulatory requirements. How can you be expecting an audit from DMA, from FDA, and you don't even have their guidelines? You don't even follow their guidelines. The guidelines are not matching the procedures and processes that you have in place. This is one of the areas where failures could come from. Procedures are not being followed also by your own team. Internally, you're not following your procedures. They're not documented correctly. You're doing something different from what you currently have written in your procedures. The data are not easily accessible. They're not updated. Your operating standard process procedures are not accurate. And it doesn't just lead to failure, it also leads to frustration of the auditors. So these are the things that you need to avoid during your audit. One of the things I'll tell you is be in control, take the lead during the audit. That's why you need a strategy team, does the audit readiness team, to create a strategy for you to help to pass this audit. So you need to see regulatory audits as an improvement for you. And when you say, okay, I want to improve, and most times you need a strategy to improve, it's always great that you follow this approach. So thank you for listening. These are my 10 or 11 tips, right, of how you could ace a regulatory audit. I would like to hear from you. What other tips you think I could include into this? And we could have a long list, or we could streamline it, shrink it, whatever ideas you have. But that's it from me, and I hope you learned something. Thanks. Have a great day. Please don't forget to share, to like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you in my next video. You could also mention what you think I should discuss the next time. Thanks. Bye.